Welcome to Module 14. Turn to page 35 in your notes. We are going to build 4-note chords. Now before you look on your notes, I want to remind you, in Module 3, Music Theory 1, we defined all the intervals, right? Major, minor, perfect. There's 12 slices, 13 different intervals represented, right? 13, 12, whatever. You understand what I mean? All those slices have names. Then when we take two intervals and put them together, making 3-note chords, then in Module 5 we learned about our different kinds of triads. I'm going to very quickly run through 4 of our 6 triads. Okay? So, major triad, the formula is 1, 3, and 5 of the major scale. Does that ring a bell?
Yep.
Yep?
Yeah.
Okay. Minor triad is 1, flat, 3, and 5.
Ding.
There's those sus chords. I'm leaving them out for a second. Remember, diminished does a flat 3 and a flat 5. And an augmented does a 1, a 3, and a sharp 5. This is the formula of the major scale, right? Of those triads. Now, we've got 6 forms of triads. There's other combinations, okay? But I want to point out 2 things before we get into it, because this will make sense. I'm going to tie this in later, so just bear with me. Remember, we have 12 slices in the octave, right? If we only use half of our 12, what's half of 12?
6.
6. Now remember, the tritone is 6 half steps. And remember when we inverted intervals, the tritone inverted itself. Okay? So a tritone inverts to a tritone, 6 half steps both ways equal 12. We've divided up the 12 into 2 equal parts. Okay? Now, the augmented chord has all these major thirds. So if you remember, the augmented chord is a major third with another major third on top. What we didn't talk about is in that augmented chord, which is 1, 3, and sharp 5, there's a major third here. There's also a major third right there. Is that if you went another major third above the sharp 5, you're at the octave. Which means that this augmented chord divides our 12 slices into 3 evenly spaced 4 half steps, right? So you've got 4 half steps here, 4 half steps there, and then another one up to the 8. And thus, this is splitting up into, 4 half steps, 4 half steps, 4 half steps, 3 slices of the 12. I'm going to say that again because I think I misspoke. Okay? The tritone takes the 12, cuts it in half, 2 easy slices. The augmented chord takes the 12 and slices it up in thirds. 4 plus 4 plus 4. A major third, and another major third that's implied because the root in the octave. Does that kind of make sense for the moment?
Yes.
Okay? Now, put a pin in that because later we're gonna come up with the punchline on this one. Okay? Now, we're going to move to 4-note chords. Our system of theory is based on stacking chords in thirds. So you got the root, you go up a third, a minor third, a major third, maybe it's a sus4, maybe it's a sus2, but it's basically a third, and then you go up another third to the 5th scale degree. So as we are labeling chords, we start off with going up yet another third. Okay? And I'm going to briefly overview 4 of these chords right off the bat that our notes start to expand. Okay? Remember that our chord symbol system is shortcuts. Okay? So if I say G minor, that is a shortcut that implies a lot of information. It implies there's a G on the bottom. It implies it's a minor triad with a minor third, B flat, the minor third here. It implies the 5th has not moved, so there's a perfect 5th here. It implies that there's a major third here. Right? So this is a shortcut for all of that information, those 3 notes. With me so far?
Yes.
So what gets confusing is there's some misinformation about the shortcut system of the 4-note chords. There's a lot of people running around saying this is a major 7 and that's a minor 7 that are saying it wrong. So we're going to start off making sure that this is done exactly right and everybody's on the same page. We start off that first 4-note chord, which is called a major 7 chord. Okay? In the classical academic world, when you look at a 4-note chord, you assume that the 5th is not going anywhere. It's implied unless the 5th has moved. So if you don't say anything about the 5th, it's assumed that it's perfect. So then you have to discuss the 3rd relationship and then the 7th relationship in academic circles, in music theory, in college. Okay? So this chord, because the 5th is implied to be where it needs to be, would be described as a C major 7. Okay? Because that's the 7th scale degree on the major scale. But nobody wants to say C major 7. It's confusing. So a long time ago, we came up with a shortcut system. The rock and jazz guys, contemporary music, came up with, let's make some shortcuts on these chords. Okay? And so our shortcut and our title is going to be a C major 7 chord. So when you see the word C major 7, or just major 7 chord, it's that formula. It's a major 3rd, it's a perfect 5th, it's a major 7th. Does that make sense for the moment? Okay? 4-note chords. You can pick any note, random note, and build that chord based on this formula because you know the major scales. Right? Now let's look at a second one, and we're going to go through 3 before we kind of break it down. We have another type of chord we call the minor 7th chord. This confuses some folks because this is a shortcut. This is a shortcut symbol that's implying a couple of things. It's implying that there's a minor 3rd. It's also implying that there's a minor 7th. Okay? So by the academic way, I would say a C minor 7. But the shortcut is just minor 7. Okay? With me so far? Let me take it one more step, and this is the kicker, because this is the one that hopefully illuminates the whole thing, or at least should clear up some confusion. Then we have this 3rd form. We call it a dominant 7, or sometimes just a 7th chord. And that formula is a shortcut for a major 3rd and a minor 7. This is the kicker. Okay? It's got a major 3rd and a minor 7th. So when someone says, play a minor 7th chord, you're doing this. That has a minor 7th in it, but this is not a minor 7th chord. This is a dominant chord. Here's some symbols that we use. With major 7, sometimes it'll literally be like I just put there. Sometimes you'll see the triangle 7, which also means major 7. With minor 7, sometimes you'll just see a lowercase m, or you might see a minus. Remember, minus also means minor. You might see that as meaning minor 7. Now here's where it gets fun. Most of the time, when people write a dominant 7th chord, they just write the 7. That's the only symbol needed. That's the shortcut. Occasionally, you'll see people put dom 7. Not all the time. So when someone says, we're going to play a 7th chord, it means a major 3rd and a minor 7th and a 4-note chord. When someone says, let's play a minor 7th chord, these both are minor. When someone says play a major 7th chord, these both are major. A lot of people get confused on this. Okay? With me so far? Did that, even just with a couple of you, there was like a little light that shined. Because there's a lot of people that misuse this, and it gets very confusing. Now think about this for a second. If we're just looking at the 3rd and the 7th, they're both major here. They're both minor there. In this case, we got the major and the minor, major 3rd and minor 7th. So wouldn't there be one more variety that we would not have gotten to? Okay? So both major, both minor. Here these are, major 3rd and minor 7th. If we swap that and we make a major 7, this is what I call the other white meat. I'm sorry, the other 7th chord. Okay? This one is so rarely used, like 0.5% of the time, you'll hear this combination. So there's no real shortcut for it. We actually spell it out in the way that the academic circles do. We actually call this a minor, because we're defining the third, parentheses, major 7. Okay? This happens very, very rarely, so there's no shortcut for it. Okay? Let me give you some examples just to listen. Here is, I'm going to be in the key of, oh, somebody pick a key. Pick a key. G. Here's G. Okay, this is the G major triad. That's just G, B, and D, 1, 3, 5. If I add a major 7 to it, remember, right? That's going way back. Bali Hive's from what, the 50s? All you young people don't know. All you worship.
Pacific.
South Pacific. We have a young person in the audience who actually did her homework. No, Roger's name says. So here's 1, 3, 5, 7. G major 7 chord I'm playing right there. Now remember, with voicing, I can put the F sharp here. I can put the B there. I can put the D up here. Put the G down there. Easy schmeezy, right? Well, that's nice. You hear it all the time. Now with minor 7, I take major 3rd, major 7th, and I take them both down a half step. Minor 3rd, minor 7th, and it sounds like this. But it typically just sounds like a straight minor triad with a little color. Makes sense? Now the dominant 7 now has a G major 3rd, flat, 5, minor 7. Right? And then it has that going on. But then the minor major 7, our other white knee, our other 7th chord that hardly gets used, sounds like this. Here's a minor triad and a minor 7. Now let me show you this one. Could be that praises you right from the inside of me. Now here's a minor major 7. That got this cool, like, that sound. With a straight minor chord would just be. But if I do that minor major 7 in the middle, it rarely works along the way. It's a great way to end a minor song and just kind of put that new extra major 7 note in there. It's kind of a nice thing for variety. 99% of our life, though, we're using these 3 chords all the time. We got to get this down cold. This guy's more of an anomaly once in a while. Okay?